Imagine being faced with this, well, impossible, gut-wrenching choice. Sacrifice your own child to save your entire people, or just let your lands crumble into famine and despair. That's really the brutal core of Dororo, the compelling 2019 anime adaptation we're taking a deep dive into today. We're going to explore how this remarkable series brilliantly reinterprets ancient Japanese folklore, it's yōkai and maijin, to force us to confront these profound, often unsettling questions about humanity, morality, and, well, where the line between man and demon truly lies, especially in a world ravaged by war. Our insights today come from a really detailed analysis, Dororo, Folklore to Anime Analysis, which truly dissects the show's narrative and its deep thematic roots. All right, let's jump right into the world of Dororo. It's not a place where supernatural entities or distant myths are just campfire stories, right? Here, the spiritual and physical realms are intimately intertwined, and these malevolent forces are actively, brutally shaping human lives. It almost feels like the very air is thick with spiritual decay.
You've really hit on something crucial there. What's so fascinating right from the outset is how Dororo immediately establishes the rules of its supernatural mechanics. At the heart of it all is this collective of 12 incredibly powerful entities known as the Majin, or demon gods. And they make their home in a rather ominous place, a corrupted Buddhist temple, aptly named the Hall of Hell. The entire story, the impetus for everything that follows, it stems from a truly dark, almost Faustian bargain. Picture this, a desperate samurai lord, Daigo Kagemitsu, whose lands are just ravaged by famine. He craves glory, craves prosperity for his people, and in a moment of absolute desperation, he makes this pact with these Majin, offering them, well, anything they desire from his unborn son, Hyakkimaru. This isn't a casual decision. The show makes it abundantly clear it's a profound spiritual transgression, a conscious act to, quote, cast off Buddha and the gods in favor of the demons. It's a calculated, chilling move.
Yeah, absolutely chilling. And the price for that pact, the consequence for Hyakkimaru, it's just horrific. He's born a barely living husk, practically, well, disassembled. Limbs, skin, sensory organs, entire body parts are just parceled out to these demons. It's an incredibly brutal and shocking beginning for our protagonist, isn't it? It sets such a grim tone.
It absolutely does, and that very brutality immediately establishes the core mechanic of the entire narrative.
Yeah.
Hyakkimaru's quest for reclamation. He has to journey across this war-torn land, confronting and slaying each specific Majin that holds one of his missing body parts. The satisfaction for us as viewers is that upon a demon's death, a corresponding body part magically regenerates, often in a burst of light or maybe a subtle, disturbing shift in his artificial body. And to underscore the pact's nature, a demonic statue in that Hall of Hell simultaneously shatters, visually confirming his small victories.
That physical restoration must feel like such a triumph for him. But I remember there's a really dark twist to all of this, isn't there? This isn't just about Hyakkimaru getting his body back, right?
You're right to highlight that. Here's where it gets truly interesting and quite morally complex. Daigo's pact creates this sort of parasitic symbiosis. His land prospers, but that prosperity is unnaturally fueled by Hyakkimaru's suffering, by his very incompleteness. So as Hyakkimaru reclaims his body, piece by painful piece, the land's unnatural prosperity recedes. Famine and plague return. This creates the central, agonizing moral dilemma. Hyakkimaru's intensely personal quest for his own body directly threatens the well-being of thousands of people Daigo swore to protect. It's a truly awful choice he's unknowingly forcing upon everyone.
Wow. So these 12 Majin are the absolute core of Hyakkimaru's curse, the big bads of his personal story. But the world of Dororo is just teeming with other supernatural creatures too, beyond those primary demons. Are they just background noise, or do they serve a different purpose?
That's a perceptive question. No, they're definitely not just background noise. The war-torn landscape is also populated by what the show refers to generally as yōkai or ghouls. These are more ambient threats, really embodying the spiritual decay and pervasive suffering of the era.
Yeah.
But critically, they're not directly linked to Hyakkimaru's curse. Slaying them won't restore any of his body parts, and the show establishes that rule pretty early on, so you know what the stakes are.
Okay, I see.
Their purpose is more illustrative, I'd say. They exist to show the constant, pervasive danger of this world, and provide challenges that test Hyakkimaru and Dororo, revealing aspects of their character. You see a whole range of them. From the mischievous Amanojaku, which causes chaos and pranks but isn't lethal, to more complex Jorogumo, a spider demon, initially predatory but later shown to be capable of something akin to love. They really paint a vivid picture of just how thin the veil between human and supernatural has become, and how humanity itself is kind of teetering on the brink.
Right. And it's not just what the monsters look like in Dororo, it's also about how the protagonist, Hyakkimaru, uniquely perceives his world, especially since he initially lacks so many conventional senses. How does the anime possibly convey his world to us without traditional sight or hearing? That feels like a massive storytelling challenge.
Oh, it's one of the 2019 adaptation's most brilliant and daring inventions, honestly.
Yeah.
First off, the demon designs themselves are a huge departure from Tezuka's original manga, which was, well, more cartoonish. These are grotesque, terrifying, often featuring elements of body horror. And the art uses this muted, naturalistic color palette, which grounds the series in a bleak, almost historically accurate reality. This then makes vibrant colors like crimson blood or fiery demon energy all the more striking, all the more impactful when they appear, makes them pop. But the real game changer is Hyakkimaru's soul sight. Lacking physical eyes, he perceives life force as colored auras. Ordinary humans and animals are a ghostly, almost serene white, while demons, yōkai, and ghouls burn with this malevolent, fiery red. This replaces his telepathy from the manga and profoundly shifts the story's focus. It's no longer just a simple quest for revenge. It becomes an internal struggle over spiritual purity, both his own and the world's.
So his very perception literally forces both him and us, the audience, to constantly question what a monster truly is. It's not about outward appearance at all then, is it? It's something much deeper.
Exactly. That's a truly crucial point the show is making. If a beautiful, charismatic village leader can harbor a red-souled demon within her,
Right.
and conversely, a physically monstrous Jorogumo's soul can visibly fade from a fiery red to a softer orange as she learns empathy and connection, then monstrosity is clearly depicted as a spiritual state, not a physical one. This thematic impact is absolutely huge, forcing a reevaluation in every encounter.
That's powerful.
And the sound design is equally, if not more, crucial. At the start, Hyakkimaru's world is utterly silent, just a void. So when he regains his hearing, it's not a relief. It's an overwhelming, agonizing cacophony. The patter of rain, the murmur of countless voices, the cries of grief, the sounds of battle, it's all just too much for him initially. This highlights the painful reality that reclaiming humanity also means experiencing the full spectrum of the world's suffering.
Wow, yeah.
Even the opening theme, Cain, by Queen Bee, cleverly reflects this. It begins with this hollow, almost ethereal vocal, representing Hyakkimaru's initial emptiness, then transitions to a lively, vibrant beat once Dororo enters his life, symbolizing the new purpose and connection she inspires. It's brilliantly done.
That's incredible. So these aren't just fantasy creatures pulled out of thin air. They're like walking pieces of Japanese history and religion, deeply rooted in the culture. Where does Osamu Tezuka and then subsequently the 2019 anime begin to pull from such a rich tapestry for inspiration?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's clear Tezuka was drawing from a very specific cultural moment. His original manga, back in the 1960s, was actually a direct response to the yōkai boom sweeping Japan at the time, largely sparked by the popular artist Shigeru Mizuki. Tezuka explicitly used historical reference materials, most notably Toriyama Seking's influential 18th century encyclopedia of yōkai, the Gazo Hyakki Yagyush. It was sort of a foundational text for understanding these spirits. The series also builds heavily on Japan's two primary religious traditions. On one hand, you have Shinto animism, with its belief in spirits, or kami, residing in all things, the aramitama being the violent, destructive aspects of these spirits. Then there's Buddhist cosmology. The very name Hall of Hell directly references Jigoku, the Buddhist concept of hell, with the Majin acting as these malevolent agents of this realm. But it's not all darkness. There's balance, too. Benevolent Buddhist figures like the Bodhisattva canon intervene. There's that key moment where a statue sacrifices its own head to save Hyakkimaru's soul. It's a constant push and pull, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And the setting itself, the Sengoku period, that era of incessant civil war and upheaval, that must be absolutely critical to why this story resonates so deeply.
It's utterly foundational. This era of relentless civil war, widespread famine, and devastating plagues was a time of immense, almost unimaginable suffering. When Daigo justifies his demonic pact by declaring, "Priests, we are already living in hell," he's not just being melodramatic. He's articulating a reality where the physical suffering of humans was so profound
Right.
that a deal with demons, however unthinkable, might genuinely seem like a rational, desperate choice for a leader trying to save his people. The spiritual decay perfectly mirrors the societal chaos.
It's fascinating how the anime doesn't just copy folklore, but creatively reinterprets it, sometimes even subverting traditional monster myths entirely. Can you give us some specific examples of how it adapts these creatures and what that adds to the narrative?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Take the Jirogumo, the Spider Woman. Traditionally, she's this cunning, malevolent predator luring men to their doom. But in the anime, the Jovugumo, named Ahohagi, develops genuine affection for a human man and is ultimately spared by Hyakkimaru, who shows her empathy. Her soul even visibly changes from red to orange, a truly powerful visual representation of moral ambiguity and, well, the potential for redemption.
That soul change is such a striking visual.
Isn't it? Then there's the new, a legendary chimera yōkai. In classical folklore like the Hyakkimaru, it's a singular, iconic beast. In Dororo, its defeat yields no body part for Hyakkimaru. Instead, it serves as a narrative device to push him to despair, to truly test his limits, rather than offering a straightforward heroic victory and reward. It asks him, and us, how much he's willing to endure.
So it tests his spirit rather than simply rewarding his physical strength. That's a really clever subversion.
Precisely. Another great example is the Naihiru, a cursed sword. It's a clear homage to Yuchir, the sentient, bloodthirsty blades found throughout Japanese folklore, like the Onikimaru. But its defeat grants Hyakkimaru his hearing, immediately exposing him to the world's raw suffering, like the cries of a grieving sister. It's a gain, yes, but a profoundly painful one, highlighting that reclaiming humanity isn't all positive.
Yeah, that's a heavy consequence.
Right. And Bandai, reimagined from the Jinmenso, the human-faced soar, into this beautiful yet greedy village headwoman, perfectly introduces themes of deceptive appearances. She looks human, but her soul burns red. The Kyuubi no Kitsune, the nine-tailed fox, is portrayed as a purely malevolent force, manipulating a war, truly embodying its folkloric role as a chaos bringer, a force of pure destruction. These adaptations aren't just superficial. They serve to deepen the show's core themes.
It's abundantly clear these supernatural elements aren't just set dressing then. They're the very engine of the plot, the crucible for character development, and the driving force behind the show's biggest philosophical questions.
They absolutely are. The monster of the week structure, which, in some narratives can feel repetitive, is narratively essential here. Each slain Meijin doesn't just advance the plot. It marks a critical step in Hyakkimaru's physical and psychological restoration, forcing him to confront different facets of monstrosity, both external and, crucially, internal. Consider Hyakkimaru's painful paradox. His quest for physical wholeness is, ironically, this torturous journey toward humanity. Regaining his senses brings him intense suffering, and what's truly heartbreaking is that the brutal murder of Mio, his first love, triggers this demonic rage that literally turns his soul red, signifying his terrifying proximity to becoming a monster himself.
Oh man, yeah.
It's only Dororo, the resilient young thief, who serves as his essential moral anchor, her boundless empathy repeatedly pulling him back from the abyss, reminding him of what it truly means to be human.
And it's not just Hyakkimaru's internal struggle. The entire Daigo clan seems caught in this spiral of spiritual corruption because of that initial demonic bargain, doesn't it?
Indeed. Daigo's initial pact sets his entire family on this path of spiritual decay. His son, Tahomaru, for instance, starts as a compassionate and noble character, but he's slowly corrupted by this utilitarian logic, this idea that the greater good justifies any sacrifice. He eventually dehumanizes Hyakkimaru and makes his own demonic pact, tragically mirroring his father's original sin. This internal decay, this slow corrosion of morality, is often far more terrifying than any external demon the characters face, I think.
So with all these intertwined layers, the symbolism, the reinterpreted folklore, what's the central, profound question the series is ultimately asking through all of this? So what does this all mean for us?
The series, at its heart, is asking us, what does it truly mean to be human? And it argues really powerfully that humanity is defined not by physical wholeness, but by spiritual integrity, by empathy, by connection, by mercy, by the choices we make. Characters like the samurai who slaughter Mio, though physically human, are depicted as the true monsters, their souls burning with the same demonic red as any yōkai. It's a constant challenge to our preconceptions. It also offers a potent critique of utilitarianism. Daigo's temporary prosperity is built on the sacrifice of an innocent child, and the anime unequivocally condemns this, arguing such a foundation is illegitimate and utterly unsustainable. Hyakkimaru's quest for bodily autonomy, for the right to his own being, becomes this poignant allegory for individual rights against oppressive systems that claim to act for the greater good.
That's a really important point.
And finally, Set against the brutal backdrop of the Sengoku period, the supernatural conflict serves as a powerful metaphor for the endless cycle of violence that is war. Humans, the show suggests, create their own demons, both literally and figuratively. Hyakkimaru's ultimate victory isn't just about reclaiming his final body parts, it's his profound final act of sparing his father, the man responsible for all his suffering. This act of forgiveness, of choosing mercy over vengeance, is what truly breaks the cycle of violence and fully reclaims his humanity. It's a truly cathartic, powerful ending.
That's a beautiful distillation of the show's core message. And the 2019 adaptation isn't just a faithful retelling. It made such deliberate, impactful changes that truly elevated Tezuka's original work. What were some of these key adaptations that made such a difference and made it resonate so strongly with modern audiences?
This is where the adaptation truly shines as, well, a masterclass in modernizing a classic. Arguably, the most crucial structural change was condensing the demons from 48 in the manga to a much tighter, more focused 12. This transformed it into a higher stakes, more tightly paced narrative, where each encounter felt incredibly meaningful and deeply integrated into the story's overall thematic development. You felt the weight of each one.
Yeah, 12 feels much more manageable narratively.
Exactly. Another truly transformative choice was reframing Hyakkimaru's abilities. Swapping his telepathy from the manga for complete sensory deprivation, being born unable to see, hear, smell, feel, fundamentally changed his entire arc. It made his journey a painful, gradual process of learning to be human, of discovering the world's beauty and its ugliness, rather than just a straightforward quest for revenge. It gave him so much more room to grow,
And I remember Daigo's motivation felt so much more complex, didn't it? Not just a straightforward villain.
Yes, absolutely. In the manga, Daigo was a more straightforwardly evil villain. The 2019 anime complicated his motivation significantly, showing he made the pact out of desperation to save his famine-plagued land. While this doesn't excuse his monstrous actions, it transforms him into a far more compelling, tragic antagonist. It sharpens the story's central moral dilemma, making it less about good versus evil and more about impossible choices and their consequences.
Makes it much grayer.
Precisely. And crucially, the adaptation shifted the tone. It wisely removed Tezuka's sometimes anachronistic humor for a consistent, dark, and tragic tone, allowing the brutal realities and profound themes to land with their full, devastating emotional impact. The 2019 Dororo is in essence a masterclass in adaptation. It honored its roots while making bold, inventive changes, from its breathtaking visual and sound design to its deepened character motivations to amplify its latent thematic power. It resulted in a truly cohesive, emotionally resonant, and unforgettable fable for our time.